Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to a brief little Power Rangers discussion video talking about some news that broke over the weekend. It wasn't like a breaking news story, but it was like a Twitter news story where Simon Bennet confirmed via a tweet, I think replying to somebody, and if I remember to screen grab it, I'll put it up on screen right now. JK, I'm going to do it after I said now. So anyway, I don't know why I'm doing that bit, but he confirmed that the Cosmic Fury is his last season of Power Rangers and he's leaving afterwards. So, I mean, I felt like this was pretty much known. I think this just furthers the, not confirmation, but furthers the evidence that the reboot is imminent and there likely will not be another main version of the show after this, at least for a while. Like, we don't know exactly what's happening, but, you know, based on the evidence, I think this just furthers the evidence that we will be transitioning over into the reboot, however long that takes after this. Because, you know, I've talked about that a little bit before. We don't know exactly what's going on right now. Cosmic Fury was a bit of a surprise, and it definitely, like, all signs pointed to that being kind of not a last minute, I mean, sort of last minute, somewhere between last minute and planned, in the sense that I think that they originally planned on having the reboot out sooner and Dino Fury was supposed to end. I think I remember right, Dino Fury was supposed to be one season, but it was supposed to end with season 2, but then they wanted something else for the 30th anniversary, you know, just to have something else and, you know, to have toys on the shelves to fill the gap between the reboots. So it definitely seemed like that with Cosmic Fury. And then not to mention the fact, even before this was confirmed, just generally, you know, by now we usually hear some rumblings and some rumors about what's next, you know, in regards to like casting and writing and all that stuff. You know, usually I'll see stuff on the boards or on Twitter about rumors about the next season, like in regards to how we usually follow the season cycle. And there hasn't been anything like that, you know, and that makes sense. The only news we really have is stuff we hear about the reboot, which, to be fair, we don't get a lot of updates on. I don't think we necessarily, I think we're so used to this cycle, pretty regular pattern that we've gotten over the last few years in regards to like rumors rolling out and then starting to see casting rumors and then confirmed casting and then the announcement. You know, it's not always the same, but I think we've gotten used to it. So the way the reboot's doing it can make it seem like, you know, worse than it is. I definitely think that it's been very light on news for sure, but I think that we're accustomed to how things are supposed to be, so it seems lighter, and this is going to be a very different production. But the point is the only news we've had recently is like the reboot stuff, you know, with, I think the last major news, I know it might have been when they announced like the stuff about the series, and it seems like it might be just the series and not a movie in the series, but was the announcement of the new showrunner, whose name I cannot remember at the moment, but there was the new showrunner who's going to be the new showrunner for what is the main show. And so, again, just so what we have now is we don't have any rumblings or sign behind the scenes that there's going to be a on-time production for a main show, but we do have the fact that the reboot is being worked on. I know I've seen a couple of the scoopers, like I think Jinsaku teased that we might see casting next year. You know, I'm not sure, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's just what it seems like, guys. You know, I know a lot of people will freak out about this idea of the main show ending, but effectively the reboot will take over as the main show. It'd be interesting if, like, when the reboot comes out, if we ever do like an animated show and like the old show comes back in some form, I would then consider the reboot to be the main show. I guess it's kind of a matter of perspective, but the point is that I think that it just makes sense. And I don't know anything. This is just speculation based off of like news that I've seen and just kind of not common sense, but just kind of you know, thinking about what would make sense. I really feel like they're going to focus on the reboot for now. You know, I don't think we're going to get a version of the main show, at least for a little bit. I mean, if the reboot takes off, I don't foresee us going back to it in its traditional sense anytime soon, but it could also, you know, not do so well, and we might go back to it. Who knows? But I think that it just makes sense for them, because I don't think that I don't buy into that whole propaganda. They don't care about the brand. Like, they do want to make money. They want to make something that makes money. So I think they care about making money, but I think they're too cautious about, you know, the brand to want to have 2 full show productions on at the same time, because that would be kind of expensive. Like, PR is probably a cheaper show than most, especially when you use Sentai footage, but still, I don't think they're going to want to have the full production for the reboot going at the same time as the main show, at least right now. Like, if PR ever gets to a point where it's doing more successful for them, I could see them having multiple things going at the same time, whether it be an animated show or a version of the old show. It also depends on what their plans are franchise-wise, but I just feel like right now that just makes sense that they would want to put all their focus on that and not keep, like, you know, money going to something else, which I actually kind of agree with in the money sense too, because I want to see them, even if it doesn't work out and we go back to the old show or whatever, I want to see them give it their all for this and really put all their resources into it. And so I would rather them take that extra budget from the show that's going on right now and put it into the reboot and make that as best as possible with effects and, you know, cinematography, whatever. How do you buy cinematography? But you know what I mean. Just make it as good as possible rather than like having some of the resources being taken up by the current main show. I'd rather them put all the resources into this to make it as good as possible. Just, you know, give it their good honest try. Like even if it doesn't work out, I think that makes the most sense to me rather than doing this. However, again, it's not impossible that we could see a version of like the main show continuity again. You know, Once and Always seemed to do pretty good, so I wouldn't be surprised if we could see something like that again, maybe in between, or if the reboot doesn't do so well, maybe they do specials like that, or like I just said, like maybe as an in-between thing, because Netflix tends to have let's think of their pattern. Even before we officially were you know, bought by them for the airing rights, they do like 2 content drops a year. So I could see them maybe doing that if they wanted to, something like a Once and Always miniseries of movies that come out. Again, this is just sheer speculation, but like you know, dropping at the beginning of the year and then the reboot show dropping later in the year, and so on and so forth. Doing that sometimes, I could see that. Honestly, just personally, I would at the moment find something like that to be more likely than them keeping a full-on production up of the main show. Again, I think that it's possible in the future that if this doesn't work out, that we could see the old show return. We could see it return in some form. It's never say never. But I just personally find it more likely that if we were to do anything similar to what we're getting now in between the reboot, it would be something like those specials, because there's going to be a lot more eyeballs on some mmpr nostalgia and something bouncing off of this rather than a traditional Sentai adaptation season. And like I said, the point of this video is all signs kind of point to that with Simon leaving. It's not that unusual for Power Rangers showrunners to leave. You know, we've cycled through what was it? Who was the first one that was like, you know, just basically translating the Sentai? I can't remember was it Zatcher? Zatcher, and then we had Chip Lin, and then now, you know, Simon Bennet. And so it's not that unusual to get new showrunners, but you know, right now we're not hearing anything at all like we would be about a new season. And I'm getting a feeling that we'll probably have sort of a gap year next year. Not necessarily that they'll be like everything will stop. Like we're still gonna have the comics. They're doing a year-long event and stuff like that, and there might be something else that we don't know about, but I think that it'll probably be kind of a quieter year in terms of content, and then we'll start to hear stuff about the reboot. I mean, I can't imagine the reboot coming out. The earliest I could see it coming out would be next fall, and I find that to be extraordinarily unlikely because they would have to get a lot done. They would have to put their pedal to the metal, Commander, so they couldn't do that. I'm going to imagine we'll sort of hear more concrete stuff going into next year, probably even more concretely later next year, maybe a tease, and then it'll probably be like 2025, I'm going to assume. But I think that there'll still be stuff to talk about. There'll be comics and merchandise and stuff, but I just kind of get that feeling because I feel like for any of the stuff, whether it was the reboot or the main show, we would have heard something by now. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm really eager to find out more about what their plans are. I'd love for them to just lay out their plans at least a little bit, or their intentions a little bit, so that we kind of know, and so there's not so much speculation and like uncertainty and like needlessly placed anger about stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm still looking forward to Cosmic Fury for this last bit, and I'm really looking forward to the reboot personally, but what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to any of this? What do you want to see? Let me know in the comments in the future. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.